Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. Frequently on my channel, I will say I have the best subscribers in the world, and I hope that doesn't come across as empty platitudes because I really do mean it. I really appreciate every single subscriber I have. I appreciate every like, every follow, every share, every comment. But sometimes subscribers will go above and beyond, and they will do something like make a PayPal donation to the channel to help me create new content, or they will send me gifts, and I love gifts. Case in point, recently I was contacted out of the blue by subscriber Glenn Dean. He wanted to know a mailing address because he said he had a gift to send me. And what a gift it was. Glenn sent me Blitz Bowl Season 2. For those of you who don't know, Blitz Bowl is part of Games Workshop's line of bookshelf games that are intended to go into big retail stores. And they are usually exclusive to just a few territories and a few stores like Barnes & Noble. Other games they've produced in this series of bookshelf games includes Crypt Hunters, Space Marine Adventures Rise of the Orcs, Labyrinth of the Necrons, and the list goes on. Here in the UK, they have only ever offered us 2 games from this range. They are the Space Marine Adventures games that I have featured previously on the channel. So I was never able to get Blitz Bowl. And yet here it is, thanks to the kindness of a subscriber, I have my very own copy to show on the channel, and I cannot wait to start playing. Blitz Bowl is basically a more streamlined, accessible, easy to play, quicker game of Blood Bowl, using 6-a-side teams. And the designer behind this game is James Hewitt of Needy Cat Games. I am a big fan of James Hewitt. He worked on Warhammer Quest Silver Tower, Gore Chosen, Betrayal at Calth, and he has more recently been working with Mantic Games on games like Hellboy and their newest title, I think it's called League of Infamy. But that is by the by. Today, I'm just going to dive into the box. We're going to take a look at the contents. I know I am well behind the curve in that regard. There is already going to be lots of people who have unboxed this game because it's been around for a little while, but I'm also going to share some of my initial thoughts, and then hopefully I will get some more coverage of this on the channel as we go forwards. Let's open the box. Of course, the first thing of interest are the plastic miniatures. You get 1 frame of humans and 1 frame of dwarves. I think I would have rather have seen elves versus dwarves in this box, because the first season of Blitz Bowl also had humans, but they were playing against orcs. And these miniatures are the same ones that come in the Blood Bowl teams, but whereas in a box of Blood Bowl players you will get 12 players, so 2 frames, you are only getting a half squad here, so 6 players. And as well as your 6 players, you will also get a coin, a marker, and some balls. And these are the push fit miniatures. They are obviously designed for new players who may not have a lot of experience with hobby gaming, so you can just snip them out of the frame and push them together. There are some easy to follow instructions in the rules book. So those were the humans in red, and then you get the dwarves in glorious blue. These are really cool miniatures. They are really nice. The dwarves have big flowing beards, and they look absolutely amazing. And of course, we have a Bugman's Brew up here for their point tracker. Next up we have the rulebook, and this is a very slim booklet really, and that's because Blitz Bowl is intended to be far simpler than Blood Bowl. It is a much more compact and accessible game. The idea is we are playing in the Crush, which is where all the new Blood Bowl players get to try out, where they get to show off for the talent scouts. So part of this game is getting your team to win by scoring touchdowns, but there's also a much bigger part of this game where you're trying to get your players to show off. You're showboating for the crowd, getting the crowd behind you, earning yourself a name so that you can then move on to the big leagues and start playing in Blood Bowl tournaments. And the rules themselves are pretty straightforward. You get 2 pages of overview. There's a double page spread telling you how to set up your games. And then we're into the how to play section, and it really is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages. You can see here winning the game, and then we are into a page of extra rules, and then we are into league play. So really it's only 6 pages for your pick up and play games, and then there are additional rules that you can ignore to begin with, but if you can find enough people to get together with and play a league, you have that option as well. And then in the back, there's a little bit of fluff about the crush and what it all means, and then a little bit of information about the two teams that are included, the humans and the dwarves, with your very simple assembly guide in the back. And then on the back we have a handy dandy reference page which has all of the rules you are most likely to need whilst playing, and this is the round sequence here, and it shows how simple the game is. The coaches take turns, and in a turn you will have 3 actions. You can use those actions on any combination of players you wish, and every time you perform an action you get an option to claim a challenge card. I will talk more about challenge cards in a moment. Next up we have a nice compact board to play the games over. Remember, these are 6-a-side matches, so it is a smaller playing field. The markers here indicate where the players start. These are the players' end zones. We have score trackers along the top. There's a handy chart which is used when you are rolling to see in which direction the ball will bounce. In the middle of the board there is a trapdoor where the ball will appear, and then there are 2 areas marked out in red, and that's blocking terrain to get in your way during play. And one nice feature is this is the basic entry level board, and then on the reverse we have a slightly more complicated side with 2 trapdoors, 4 areas of blocking terrain, and some nice Spike magazine promo. To complete the board there are 2 dugouts, you put 1 at each end. They have a handy reference chart which shows you what all the blocking dice symbols mean, and also they show you the different actions that are available to your players based on their status during the game. Players will be in one of 4 different states. They will either be open, which means they have no opposition players adjacent to them. They are marked, which means there are opponent players adjacent to them. They are prone, which means they've been knocked down. That will happen a lot. Or they're in the dugouts, which is where they end up if they score a touchdown or if they get properly mullered. And like the main board itself, these dugouts are double-sided. You get 1 cardboard range ruler to figure out whether your throws are short or long. And then you get 2 sets of 4 dice, and these dice do different things. Each team gets 2 custom blocking dice. You roll these when you block an opponent to see how things turn out. This symbol means your opponent is knocked down. This symbol means your opponent is knocked down, but you hit them so hard they suffer a negative modifier on their armor roll. This is the tackle symbol, which means the opponent is knocked down, but your player isn't allowed to take any more actions this turn either. This is a shove, which means your opponent is moved 1 space away from you. And then this is the dreaded miss, where your opponent is unaffected and you are unable to take any more actions this turn with that particular player. Each team also gets a regular D6, which has the fancy Blood Bowl icon in place of the 6 value. And both teams also get a D8, which is usually used for figuring out where a ball scatters when you drop it. Also included is a pretty thick pad of Blitz Bowl coach rosters, which are used if you are playing in a league to keep track of your successes and failures as you progress through your league. This I thought was a neat touch. You get a deck of 7 drill cards, and these drill cards are intended to help you learn how to play the game. The other day I posted a video on the Pokemon Battle Academy starter set. You probably didn't watch it because nobody watched it, but I mentioned in that video that I really like the Pokemon Battle Academy starter set because it has a way of stepping you through your first game where you have stacked decks and you follow through the rulebook playing with a stacked deck to learn all of the mechanisms of the game. This is a similar sort of thing. You set up the game based on the image on the first drill card, you follow the instructions on the drill card, and then once you've completed that drill card you move on to the second one, and you work your way through all 7, and by the end of it you should have a good idea of how the basics of the game works. It's a neat idea. Next up there is a deck of 24 challenge cards, and this is probably the most interesting part of the game, because this is how you are going to score additional victory points as you are playing. At the start of the game, there will be 3 challenge cards laid out on the side of the board. That means at the start of your turn, you can see 3 active challenge cards, and you can also see the next challenge card that is coming up in the deck. And every time you perform an action with one of your players, you can claim one of the active challenge cards if you have fulfilled the requirements. For example, this one here says You can claim this card if an opponent was knocked down or injured, whereas this one says you can claim this card if your team scored a touchdown. So as you are playing through your turn, you will claim cards, and then let's say we've only managed to claim this central card here. Before our opponent's turn, we will slide this card down. We will make this top card active, and our opponent will begin the turn with 3 challenge cards available to them. And if for any reason you don't manage to claim any challenge cards, at the end of your turn, this card will drop off anyway, these will move down, another one will appear here, and this works as a game clock. Regardless of whether people are claiming the challenges or not, the clock keeps on ticking, and when the deck runs out, it's the end of the game. This idea of having objective cards at the top of the board reminds me of 2 different games. First of all, probably most obviously, it reminds me of Warhammer Underworlds, where you have your objective cards, and as you perform your actions, you can fulfill the objective cards and claim them for your victory points. But it also reminds me very much of the wonderful Tashkalar Arena of Legends, where there are communal objectives available on the side of the board for players to claim. And this sort of element really does shake up these head-to-head games, because it becomes much more than just trying to get a touchdown all the time. You're always going to be adjusting to play towards the cards that are on offer on your given turn. Because as well as getting victory points, every card you claim becomes an additional benefit to you. On the back, they have bonus plays. And once you have claimed a challenge card, the bonus play goes into your hand and you can play these when specified to gain benefits during the rest of the game. The more challenges you win, the more points you get, the more bonus plays you get, the more opportunities you have to score more points. It's nifty, and it encourages you to play to the objectives rather than just playing to the touchdowns. And additionally, the game has a deck of end game challenges, and if you want to, you can take 6 of these at random and put them at the bottom of the challenge deck, and it spices up the last few turns of the game. But that is an advanced rule, not recommended for people just starting. Of course, the game includes reference cards for the players on your team. This has their stats listed and any special abilities. For example, the Blitzers here have the special offensive specialist rule down here, which says whenever this player makes a block action, their coach can choose to re-roll the block dice. But what I'm particularly impressed about, something I really didn't expect to see, is just how generous this box is, in that you don't just get cards for the dwarfs and the humans, you get cards for everything. Dwarfs, chaos, dark elves, regular elves, halflings, humans obviously, lizard men, Nurgle, orcs, Skaven, it goes on, undead, wood elf. They're all in there. It's a huge deck of stat cards, which means if you do not want to play as dwarves, if you do not want to play as humans, you can grab any box of Blood Bowl miniatures, and you only need half of the contents of one of those boxes, and you can make yourself a Blitz Bowl team. You have the stats right there, ready to go. That was really impressive. I think that's a fantastic addition to this game and dramatically increases the longevity of the game, and of course encourages people to buy a few more Citadel miniatures. And that's not all, because the game also has advanced rules that you can use if you want to, that introduces special balls. You can select to use special balls that relate to the teams that are playing. And of course, because they gave us all those stat cards, they give us a big wedge of ball cards as well. So you have all of the special balls for orcs, humans, Skaven, and on and on. Every team you want to field, there are special balls for them as well. Excellent stuff. Honestly, I think this is just a fantastic product in terms of how it presents the game to you and in terms of how it allows you to expand the game. It has a double-sided board with a slightly simplified arena on one side and a slightly more complicated one on the other. It has those drill cards to help you get up to speed with the rules really quickly. It has 2 sets of dice that are color-coded, so players aren't going to constantly be grabbing the dice off each other and sharing dice. And when you start playing, really all you need are a few of these cards and this challenge deck here. But once you get familiar with the game, you can start playing with other teams using other cards from this deck, or you can introduce the special balls from this deck, or you can introduce the endgame challenges from this deck, or you can start a league and start using this pad to record your progress, record your successes, get all your mates together, and just have a blast. I should have said had a ball then, shouldn't I? Missed opportunity. It just feels like an incredibly generous product. It has everything you need to get started, but then it has all those options to change and expand the game to suit your tastes. Just incredibly generous, but not as generous as Mr. Glenn Dean, the subscriber who sent this game to me, because he didn't stop at sending me Blitz Bowl Season 2. Oh no. He also sent me enough miniatures to start a Wood Elf team, and a Lizard Man team, and a Chaos team, and a Dark Elf team. Honestly, I could go on and on about Glenn's generosity. I am absolutely blown away by this gesture. And I'm so excited to have a copy of Blitz Bowl. I'm so excited to get this to the table, start playing it, and I can really see this being something that I enjoy playing with my daughter. And I would really appreciate it if people could just chuck a thank you to Glenn in the comments for his generosity and support of the channel. Because, oh yeah, did I mention, he didn't stop there. I think I'll be saving this for another video. That's it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider pressing the like button. If you've really enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so. And hopefully, I will see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.